Hello, hello. All right, so confession. So okay, no. So look at what happened today. Uh, Again, I'm really sharing the randomness of my journey, dudes. Like anytime I'm talking more about videos, it's because like the videos, the notes I wrote, is because these are the thoughts that I have throughout the day. But as of recent, man, there's been a lot of kind of like new stuff building in my day, and I think it's fair enough for me to kind of like share them in the process. First things first, because I have nobody to talk to. I really need you guys to understand this. There's nobody to talk to. And this, for me, is me expressing what I'm thinking in order for them to stick in my head, right? Like I also write, I also do all kinds of stuff, and video notes are kind of like some of them. But the current state, for example, right now, I feel like these are all conversations I want to be having, but there are not a lot of people around me. But anyways, what happened today was like yesterday, a guy posted about fundraising, and very much so, man. The day before, yes, a week ago, I was thinking, okay, so like, what am I gonna, what's gonna happen with the money? And then when that happens, what I normally would do is I like create look back at the vision that where I was, not where I was, the vision of whatever it is I'm going towards. No. So here's a philosophy of mine that I don't think anyone like kind of shares. I generally think whatever there is no future. I think whatever everything has the potential to have happened. Everything, everything, and anything. Like literally, like a phone standing, like me holding the phone, me dropping the phone. All of these have already happened in the future at some time. All I'm doing is basically fulfilling them when I get to them. So the idea behind it is, and that'll be a good actual conversation that I can explain as I move forward. But the idea behind it is like I'm not looking at my success anymore from a perspective of success. I am looking at the thing that I right now am doing, and the company that basically expresses it into the world already exists, and the network that I have already exists, and the people that are using my platform already exists, and it exists on their phone. Like it already exists. It's just right now I can't see it on the timeline. So effectively, what I do is I look at that vision and I try to clarify it. And the reason I do that is because then everything concerned with it starts appearing in my day, and then it becomes a choice of mine to kind of go like, no, okay, so this is about this thing that happened already, and but the future hasn't arrived for it to actually like bring out its best. See, I don't know if I'm explaining this well. Anything has the same opportunity to have existed and not existed, to happen and not happen, especially the concepts that are created by man. So, from my perspective, the future has already happened because our timelines are not linear. So, the future that I'm actually looking at has already happened. But now, am I going to go to that future or am I going to go to another future? That's the question. So, when you imagine something had already happened, you actually can get a bit more details out of it. That's why when they tell you to visualize how you are in the future, the kind of person you are, all that kind of stuff, they truly mean it because then you start noticing when you're not doing that stuff and eventually become that guy, right? So the idea behind it is, and I looked at my nails as I'm actually talking to you because I imagine myself not biting my nails. And I've been doing it the past week or so, but this has become a habit of mine where I kind of like hit my nails together. But I think that's the phasing out part. Anyways, so my project has already happened. And every time I look at it, I kind of see more detail. Just like when you look at a tree, and the more you look at the tree, the more detail comes out. And there's beauty in that simply because like those details kind of like surface in your day-to-day activities. And they surface in weird ways. So over the past 3 days, I was like, okay, so I got funding, by like February, I said February, like November, I started working on funding, and by December, January, I would have gotten the funding, and by February, I would have probably received it or something like within that sort, right? Like signed a contract and got the money with me, working with me by February. And I was like, okay, so that's what happened. How am I going to approach it? What are the things that I have to do? Okay, from now till then, I have to have a full platform. So that also happened for funding to exist. And data is also coming from the platform, and I'm becoming a better programmer because of the platform. And the UI is changing because of the data we're getting, the UI that the people are working, they're going to be using. So all of these have happened, and I kind of have to see enough details in order for it to kind of like to be tangible for me, because like if something happened but you're not really involved, like it's not you that made it happen, or it's not happening in your life, right? It's not happening within your reality. You just noticed it happening, or you noticed where it happened. But I want it to happen with my reality, in my reality, within this realm of existence. It's not a selfish thing at all. It's a consideration. I want to be a part of it at a very like core level. So the minute I started thinking about that, what started happening was things starting just popping out randomly in my head, and different kind of like research stuff to do, and different considerations when it comes to the budget that I already have. And it's funny because like all of them kind of like harmonize and follow each other's flow. So it got to a point where like a whole lot of clutter around my approach has kind of like died out. The timeline, the not the timeline, like the dates where things have happened started becoming a lot clearer. Like mid next month, I'll have the platform already up and ready, right? So these kinds of things are like the actual thought, the things that kind of like resolve themselves and show me the path to them existing. That's ultimately what time is, right? Time is a path that we choose. And so one of the things that happened was I actually was within this funding. A guy pops up and goes like, because I know I'm gonna have to like start meeting people, talking to people, figuring some things out, and your mind's always like, oh, it'll happen on its own, and then basically here's this, just read about it or see it or figure it out or up your skill in this just in case it happens so you're better prepared. And it's funny because like as well in the process of the past 2 weeks, I've been meeting a lot more people that kind of are looking for some form of structure in the way that I'm thinking, and it's allowing me, by while I'm explaining it to them or elaborating with them on the thoughts that I have in my head, it kind of establishes it stronger and more differently. So for me to think differently the next day or the same day or after I processed whatever it is that came out of me. And it's foundationally beautiful, it's fundamentally beautiful, but it's a very foundation of the path that I'm taking. And suddenly, like 2 days ago, a guy posted that I actually connected with like 3 to 6 months ago, and I connected with on the basis of funding and funding preparation and investor conversations and all that stuff. And so what happened was he had a video, and I basically like registered my email to receive emails from him, and it linked me to a video of his. And that video was basically how you're talking to investors wrong. It's funny because there's a certain kind of like the video was just came at the fucking right moment because these are the things that I'm thinking about and I don't know how to research them. But anyways, I met the guy today. We're gonna meet again on we met on a Zoom call today. We're gonna meet again on Tuesday because I kind of messaged him. I was like, hey man, all right. So like, yeah, I I watched your video. What should I do for us to meet, or if somebody wants to interact with you? Sorry, electricity went off. But if somebody wants to interact with you, what are the things that you like? What's supposed to happen? And naturally, he was excited because he does this as a job, and he was like, "Hey guys, this is worse." And he was like, "Hey man, okay, this, and this," and we actually got on a job. On another note, I woke up today, and all I was doing is preparing for it. On another part of the day, I basically had an interview, and I've been tripping on this beautiful guy that does marketing, and his name is Rory Sutherland. And he has a book apparently out that I definitely want to read. But a lot of the things he says just like click with me. Like, that's, oh, yes, I've been thinking about this for a while, or yes, this is how I'm doing that thing, or yes, fuck this shit because I decided to do it this way instead of like kind of like going with the flow or whatever it is. And that guy, that there's this brilliance of this guy literally completely just being himself, and for the longest time, kind of only just doing what he sees, whatever's coming out of him, instead of kind of like just following standards. And that trip today kind of like confirmed a whole lot of things with me when it came to like my business model. But one thing in specific, he actually wrote a book. And the whole point of this conversation is this. When do people write books when they become because most business good books or shit like this are like written at a higher stage, I guess, or maybe the more successful ones or whatever. But I've read a lot of books about people, young people that actually like approached business or approached the world a certain kind of way. And it's not like it seemed lacking, but it seemed immature. And there's a certain kind of like be yourself for a while until yourself reaches a certain maturity to be able to express himself properly or herself. And so yourself can actually express itself properly through you. And that's where basically like your relevance could actually be shared with the world. It really just takes some time for us to kind of ripen up, for things to kind of explode in all kinds of directions. And that's basically what I wanted to talk to you about. And that's my thought process, because ultimately, anytime somebody writes a book based on what he thinks, the only reason there's a book to come out is because he's been thinking about these for a long period of time, or she. And that idea behind it is you're always trying to express yourself until you kind of like get to a point where everything you do is an expression of yourself. And with that maturity, it's easy for you to elaborate on it to anyone you meet, because that's the beauty of expression, whether it's written, artistic, song, visual, behavioral, I don't know. And we get to choose basically how far do we want basically ourselves to be expressed. I don't know, it's just fucking beautiful, man. I've been tripping on this guy. I've watched like 6 hours of videos for him, I think today. No, one, two, three. At least three. At least. Or two. At least three, yeah. Rory Sutherland. Definitely recommend that guy. Later, dudes.